Rogers, good afternoon to you too. It's actually evening here, my time, Vienna time. What's the time over there? Two p.m. Cool. Where are you exactly, if I may ask? Antoine, good afternoon to you too. If it's 2 p.m. over there, of course. Ah, cool, okay, I know now. New York City, cool. Virginia, cool. I was once there, not for long period of time, maybe for I think I was 7 days or 10 days altogether. I think it was 2017 or 2018. It was very nice, by the way. I really like that part. Albezus from California. Good afternoon to California too. I was never in California, but I would definitely want to go there once, at least once. Ah, pardon, Antoine. North Carolina, then I made a mistake. Cool. Albezus, any tips on growing calves? I've seen everything from 3 days a week to 5. This is a really good question. Now look, I personally never had problems with calves and I'm 6.4, but I noticed that the calves grow the best when you do them every second day, because calves are pretty much active non-stop. You use them every day unless you are non-stop sitting or in the bed. I mean, who does that? I personally felt the best growth when I gave them something completely different than the rest body parts. As I said, every second days and much higher reps, so they are, to me, they function completely different than the rest of the body. I go even 100 reps per set when I do calves, but with deep stretch and deep contraction, and I contract them really when they're in the upper position, and I do full calf stretching after that. This really helps, and I strongly believe that you have to train calves differently. I would suggest the same with the abs. Of course, abs not so many repetitions, abs you do as well as everything else, but if there is someone there who want to know how to train abs properly, I would put also every second day. I mean, there are people who are genetic freaks when it comes to calves, and they do them only once a week, but I saw that a lot of people are struggling with calves. I mean, bodybuilding wise, especially the competitors, and this is why I think personally that this method works the best. my laptop a little bit closer to see your questions properly, people. Guy Rogers, you say, my question is what supplements for 63-year-old that's active with calisthenics, if I see this properly, and walking a little double work. Supplements, meaning vitamins, etc. So listen, Guy Rogers, I mean 63 is pretty much still young, unless you really have, you know, the some issues that I don't believe that you have. So that means pretty much you can take every supplement that you want out there, you know. For 63, I would really recommend magnesium, you know, maybe a little bit of extra potassium, okay, maybe I would say up to 1 gram of magnesium per day, potassium 300-400 milligrams, and of course you can take essential amino acids, you can take glutamine, you can take BCAA with 63, also creatine without a problem, whey protein, as well as everybody else who is younger than you, you know. So I mean pretty much everything, you know. There is nothing that you're not supposed to take when you are 63 when it comes to natural supplements that can help you and support you, of course. And of course with 63 as well as every other age, I would suggest, I mean, it's not that I would suggest, I highly recommend that you take multi-mineral and multivitamin complex every day, so it's a must do. Igor Nikolic, please write in English because people here speak English. I understand that you are coming from my hometown. It's really nice, and you know, greeting to you too, but you know, it would be fair to all other people that they understand what we are talking about, unless you really speak no English, and I doubt that. Martin Pucci, my favorite triceps exercise. What are your favorite triceps exercise? You know, the skull crushers, you know, when you put it, you know, like this, when you're laying on the bench. This is the mama for triceps, as we would call it in Serbia. And you know, when you're doing like a bench press from the chest, but really close grip and all the way, and then you squeeze, and then you go slowly all the way up. This is the mass builder for triceps. I highly recommend those two exercises. I mean, triceps is really a big muscle on the arm, and it's really important that you train triceps with a lot of power. You know, otherwise, I think personally the arm looks very ugly and ridiculous without a big triceps. You know, usually people think that only big biceps is the muscle that is going to make an arm big and huge, and actually it's really opposite, because triceps is the king of the arm. Even if you look at the triceps from the back, Levroni had that amazing effect, especially in Olympia 1997 when the camera was going and shooting him from behind. The triceps look big, bubbly, and huge, and it was really a sight to be seen and impressive. So, triceps you really have to hit properly with full power and full density. Martin Pucci, what about for traps? Traps, I would say the favorite exercise that I highly recommend is the one when you're holding the dumbbells, really heavy ones, because you can manipulate the movement. How can I say this properly in English? And you can grab really a lot of weight, and then you can kind of twist the traps when you're pulling them up and squeezing and doing really proper contraction with the traps. This is the favorite exercise that I do every time when I train the traps. I mean, there are no bad exercises, by the way, for any muscle group unless you really feel pain when you're doing it. But for the traps, this is the one that I highly recommend, because you can really grab a lot of weight and you can really give your best while doing that. Martin Pucci, the question is, would you recommend doing decline bench press? I've heard that is more of a shoulder exercise, but it's one of my favorites. That's a good question. It is an amazing exercise. I mean, yes, it's going to hit a shoulder a little bit, but the key is to avoid muscle overlap as much as possible, for sure. But it's absolutely not possible that you completely avoid muscle overlap. Okay? I mean, whoever tells you this, from the coaches, from the YouTube guru, social media gurus, is lying to you. So, it's what, doesn't matter which exercise you do for the traps, you're anyway going to hit a little bit of shoulders and who knows what else, right? So I like that exercise. I also recommend you to do that exercise. Is it going to hit shoulders a little bit? Yes. But is it the exercise that's primarily going to hit the shoulders? Definitely not. So I give you props for that exercise. Do it. It's a great exercise. Wiggles McPherson, how can I say, seated leg extension, but put the legs, the thighs, when they're like this, a little bit on this side, and that way you will hit it properly, vastus medialis, and then you will have this, how can I say, teardrop effect, right? I think I said it properly. And but again, it's also genetics. Somebody has it really big. Somebody doesn't have it so properly developed by genetics. I have it really good. And this is the exercise that I would recommend, But also the key is, to do it with a lot of contraction, to squeeze it really properly, to hold it few seconds in the upper position. And that way you will be sure that, you are hitting it correctly. But if you can do squats, if you can do them really good, if you can go really deep, do a proper contraction when you're doing squats, also when you move, the legs a little bit depends. I mean, if you want to hit the outer part of the quad, then you manipulate a little bit with the feet like this. If you want to hit the muscle that you mentioned, vastus medialis, then you separate the legs a little bit like this, and do the squat really slowly, and that way you will hit it for sure. Guy Rogers, you're very welcome. The next question is, what are your thoughts on creatine, and once you start, is it true that if you stop you lose your gains? I'm going to give you an honest, no bullshit answer, okay? First of all, you have to know that creatine is an amazing supplement. It's the best natural supplement that's going to give you any kind of decent visible results. And the creatine is pretty much, the compound that you have in the red meat mostly. But to take enough amount of creatine that is in red meat, you would need to eat 2 kilos of red meat every day, which is not healthy and pretty much impossible. So therefore, creatine is good for cognitive function, creatine is good for strength, creatine is good that you can do more reps. It gives you this full effect. And as I said, it's transporter. It's putting the glycogen, faster in the muscles. The side effect is that you have a little bit of water retention, and since it's transporter, it also puts protein and everything else. It helps with repairing the tissue. And no, it's not going to go away when you stop it. That's your main question. But some bloat, some water, if you don't know how to recognize this, some volume from the water, it is going to go away if you stop using creatine completely. But the gains, the strength, the muscle mass that you put it when you were on creatine, is not going to go away. Do you understand? So what you gained is definitely going to stay there, but you might lose few kilograms or pounds on the scale, but that's not going to be the muscle size and the high quality size that you put it. You understand? So it's a safe product, it's a good product, and you can take it as much as you want, So, and pretty much, you don't even have to stop the creatine. You can take 5 to 10 grams daily as long as you train pretty much forever. There are no side effects unless somebody really has kidney problems genetically, or somebody really fucked up kidneys in some other way. Then it's not recommended he takes creatine on the top of that. Otherwise, it's a completely safe and great supplement. Martin Pucci, the question is, I've been training for about 4 years, but since I started following you and taking your advice, I've really gotten much stronger. Every time I watch one of your videos, I want to go to the gym, so thank you. I really appreciate that you wrote that, and that way I'm fulfilling my purpose to help you people, and of course to help you, Martin, and that's really great. And really nice to hear that, and the more videos, the more high quality videos are with, decent advices are coming up. These 2 days I think I didn't make a video because, I had some personal things that I had to achieve, and I could make a video, but as you said, I don't want to throw out some bullshit video, to feed the algorithm and to post video every day. That's not going to bring you any value. So the goal is to put as much videos on a weekly basis, most likely every day. That's the plan, but the ones that I really see is going to help you, and it's going to be truthful and brutal and honest and raw. Thank you for the nice words, by the way. Mourad Belly, the question is, what's your opinion on full body workout for people over age of 50? Honest answer is, it's a great system for people over 50. I personally don't do it, therefore I'm not going to give you bullshit advice, because I wanted to be a bodybuilder all my life, and I'm going to the gym since 70, so I have different goals. If someone has goal, to go to feel good, to train, and if your goal is not to pack as much high, dense, thick, strong muscle as possible, then full body 2-3 times a week is a fantastic option. This is a great system. On the other hand, if you want to put some muscle mass, more amount of muscle mass, it's not the best possible split, but from your question, I think that that's not your goal, since you're over 50, which is still pretty young, but as I said, if you want to put more muscle mass as fast as possible, this is not the best split. If your goal is to feel good, to be in condition, to maintain what you already built up so far, maybe to put some quality instead of the quantity, then it's a fantastic split for everybody over 50, If this was the only split that, let's say, I was able to do because of some kind of circumstances, I would do full body, for the sportsmen, whose goal is performance, football players, rugby players, American football players, kickboxer, boxers, etc., I would recommend full body. Pickles McPherson, with the cable wood choppers exercise, is there a need to very high versus low? I think the question was right for this inner part of the vastus medialis, right? Yes, the cable wood choppers is a good exercise. It's a really good exercise. As I said, I don't do it because I never had problem with that, muscle. Doesn't mean that you have problem. I mean, I don't want to give you some, generic answer that I don't personally believe in. It's a good, really to hit that muscle specifically. It's mostly the exercise that I would honestly recommend to a woman. As I said to you, I would still recommend the front extension and deep squats with the variation of the feet, but it is a good exercise, and if you like it, go for it. I would do low reps, if that was the question. High versus low reps. Around 6 to 8 to put mass on that part. Pickles McPherson. Mourad Belly said you started following me yesterday. Very good content. Thank you, man, from the heart. Really appreciate. More good content is coming up. The Hawaiian Hema. Thank you. I also appreciate more good content, as I said, with honest wisdom and proper informations is coming up. Today I actually wanted to make 2-3 videos, and then I realized that this content is not something good that I want to post, and then I decided better not to post anything than some stupid video that the concurrence is doing, that honestly, without me disrespecting anybody, of course, that has no value, that's not going to help you, and is going to be just a clickbait that's not going to deliver anything. My goal is quality instead of the quantity, so I'm finding a balance to put as much possible, but not to throw some shit at you, and I promise that I never will. Virgo de Bach, you said you're doing a great job on the channel. I find value in consuming your content. Do you have any advice of maintaining muscle while recovering from surgery and being weight restricted for a while? First of all, I want to say that I'm not a doctor, okay? You have to check with your doctor what is possible and what is not. This is the most important thing, okay? Check with your doctor, and then if he allows you to train, then I would continue doing the training as you did before. Probably you were in the gym, right? You're not a beginner. Slowly but surely get back into the proper mode, and continue doing what you were doing before, but slowly increase everything, and that way you can do a proper comeback. But again, when your doctor allows that, I don't know what kind of surgery was that, I don't know how serious that was. This is really difficult and complicated question, by the way, and I don't have the proper data in front of me and I don't want to fuck up anybody. Plus, as I said, I'm not a doctor. Monisha Scott, hello, you said hello, I lost 100 pounds, right, from 450 till 306 now. What advice would you give to train my body? I've been walking, resistance training, light lifting, but is it possible to prevent light lifting? So I mean, if your health is okay, I would suggest that you start going to the gym. Of course, start with the full body program, 2-3 times a week. Add a little bit of cardio. Don't discontinue the walking. Continue walking as much as you want. I would recommend outside, somewhere in the nature, somewhere in the forest. It's much more better than on the treadmill, right? And you will continue to lose even more weight. The bad weight, I mean the fat and the water, the unnecessary water, of course. Water is good, by the way. And to put high quality muscle mass on you. This is what I would recommend. So as I said, if you haven't been to the gym, slowly start with the full body and see how it goes. Another question from Marisha Scott. Is it possible to train your body to prevent a lot of skin when you obese, or because the skin is already stretched or not? So, I mean, look, it depends. I don't know your age. I don't know how you look, okay? But, you know, if you have been obese, you know, and lost weight, most likely there is going to be some extra skin. And honestly, if I was in your, you know, situation, I wouldn't give a damn. I wouldn't give a fuck about that skin. You know, it's important that you're healthy, that you lose fat, that you look good. And so I'm not going to tell you what you're supposed to do, okay? Don't take this in the wrong way. If I had like so much additional skin, I would see with a plastic surgeon. I mean, again, if this was bothering me, I would go to the plastic surgeon and see, can he remove this or she, you know, in these parts where it bothers me, and that way I would regain my confidence again if this is an issue, you know. So, but honestly, I wouldn't give a fuck about that extra skin. I would try to go into the shape. I mean, the skin you can correct anytime, everywhere, right? If you find a proper doctor. And the shape that you gain, and it seems that you're really on an amazing track and you lost a lot, and I'm very proud of you. You know, this is something that will last forever. I mean, this is something that builds, you know, character and the mindset, and don't think about the skin. So train as much as you want. Guy Rogers said, Boris, I love your information. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Feel free to ask me whatever you want in the live sessions. Pickles McPherson, you said your nutrition and gym advices have been a game changer. Thank you a lot, really appreciate. I'm glad that I hear that. As I said, I'm giving you information from the 25 years of my bodybuilding experience. I'm somebody who did this sport, who was doing sports, all my life. I'm 41 now. I started sports when I was 5. Didn't stop till now. Of course, I had ups and downs, some breaks, but I can definitely say that I tried everything, and I'm giving you the valuable and proper information that I know that really works. Not something that is modern on the internet that nobody ever tested, except some people who knows where that nobody saw, that when they, you know, say that new studies are saying something, and some laboratory rats, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that I function like a dinosaur, that I think, you know, that only good system is the one that I learned. It's absolutely not the truth. I'm improving and upgrading my knowledge as well, the software on the telephone, you know, as long as I'm going to be alive. And can be, for example, that I learn something new. So this is always a possibility. But what I know always so far, I'm going to give you the best possible information that I guaranteed that works. Federico Garcia. Boris, do you like arm days as a light lifting day to let the CNS rest? Wanted, actually, it's a great question, but it's also very good that you ask about the central nervous system. And I wanted to do an episode about arms today, but I quitted. I thought that this is going to be some boring shit that nobody wants to listen to. So let me tell you this now. First of all, I think it's really impressive when somebody has big arms. Excuse me. Therefore, I always recommend that you have an arm day as a separate day. I like and I recommend that you fully hit the arms properly with everything that you got. Central nervous system is something that you recover when you sleep, that you recover when you're at home, that you recover with, of course, healthy lifestyle, as less stress possible that you can have also outside of the gym. But why to hit arms with a light training? I mean, just think logically. I'm sure that you're a smart person. How will they look if you hit them light? They will look like shit. So hit them with full power as well as everything else. I really recommend that you supplement them properly when you do arms as well as everything else. But when you do arms, if you want these huge arms, that who doesn't want, right? Take pre-workout meal, during workout meal, after workout meal, okay? Hit them really properly. You can do supersets, you can do drop sets, whatever you want, and with, of course, as much weight possible. You have to do progressive overload, but, not that the form, the way how you're doing the movement is going to suffocate, so the key is to hit them as hard as possible, but also to find the proper balance that you don't fuck up something, as well as the central nervous system that you mentioned. I mean, if your central nervous system is fried, there are other ways how to correct that, and the way is not to train their arms lightly. Hit them full power. Omni moves. I'm hitting biceps today. Any tips on best sets to do, right, or exercises? I would, biceps, if you do an arm day, always do triceps first, okay? Because if the biceps is really pumped, and full, you won't be able to do triceps. But since your question is on the biceps, and who doesn't like to have big, nice biceps with the peak, right? I would recommend, first of all, that you do it on the beginning, on the training, when you're fully relaxed, okay? Also supplement yourself properly. And the exercise is, the best exercise is when you're completely, close to the wall, you're glued to the wall, and then, you do the biceps, so the body cannot move, you cannot cheat. This is, standing, way how to do the biceps properly. You can do with the dumbbells, you can do with the barbell. Doesn't mean, with the barbell is probably better. Don't put too much weight on the biceps. If you're cheating a lot, you're not doing it properly. And what other exercises would I recommend? There are no bad exercises for the biceps. Reversed grips, pull-ups. I think I made an episode about this. Like this, you're also going to hit the back, but this is the ones that the gymnasts are doing. And this way, if you're doing it, you are going to really hit the biceps all the way, and you're going to have this big, full biceps, like the gymnasts are having. It's an amazing exercise. But as I said, I wouldn't choose the exercises so much. I would put it in the beginning of the training when I'm fully mentally fresh, and when the central nervous system is as recovered as possible, and to supplement it properly with pre-workout meal and during workout meal, as well as with post-workout meal. Virgo the Batch. The question is, in your opinion, why do you think there is much conflict information about building muscle, nutrition, etc.? Just that there is money in controversy and grift. I mean, I'm not pretty sure, is this everything one big question? Probably it is, right? I mean, it is. Why is there so much controversy? Because, people like to invent the wheel over and over, and as we would say in Serbia, the hot water. They would like to reinvent the hot water. I mean, there are proven methods that work from the 70s, 80s, 90s. Not a lot of things have changed, There is no, first of all, easy way, shortcut, secrets, hacks, I'm brutally avoiding to main any kind of content as much as possible, of course, with those words. But there is so much controversy because they like to lift the dust, how to say this properly in English, and to have those topics fully oriented on their channels and to talk about that. But there is I'm doing this sport, as I said, for the last 25 years, and there is not so much that it has been invented since then. You have to go to the gym, you have to kill yourself there, you have to do progressive overload. If you want to lose fat, you have to do cardio, you have to take your protein, you have to take glutamine, BCAAs. If you're competing, there is not a lot of different type of steroids and growth hormones that somebody is taking, instead of somebody else. Pretty much those are the basic stuff that you have to do, and there are some small tunings and variation depending of the person from the person. But as I said, there is so much controversy because people want to say that it's only the right thing, what they think that it's the right thing, but it's not. There's, again, there are proven methods, and always look how the person looks who is telling you this, and how did he look. Did he achieve something? Would you like to look like him? And feel his energy. I would say trust no one, feel his energy, look at him in the eyes or her, and there you will get your answer, what is actually right and what is wrong. And of course, try on you, but as I said, if you don't believe somebody, don't even try. Omni moves, you're welcome, brother, always. Yeah, reinvent hot water, Virgo the Batch. That is definitely the phrase that we use, in Serbia. I mean, like they want to reinvent something new that's pretty much have been there all around, and to say, okay, now some secret hack protein that works better than eggs, or this exercise is going to give you 20 kilos of pure muscle overnight, or this supplement works better than steroids, or this all bullshit. That there are not so many things that are reinvented. If there is something, trust me, as I said, I don't function like a horse that I look only straight ahead. I would be the first one who would try that, see if it works, and it works, I would deliver it to you guys. Like, look, I learned something new, I tried it, it works, take this or do this way, people, it works. So far, in the last who knows how many years, nothing came out so revolutionary that it's worth mentioning. In my honest opinion, the quality of bodybuilding competitors, dropped down, you know. I think the era of the 90s was the best era, you know. Then they looked pretty much complete. They were the best bodies that they were delivering on the stage. These days, it's getting worse and worse and worse, quality-wise. Again, this is my subjective, opinion. Guy Rogers, you said, Boris, many people today want the easy way, something magical. You have to work hard like everything in life. Let me tell you how I see it and how I see my mission here connected to that question. Yes, of course, everybody wants the easy way and the short way, but look at this, you know, the hard way is the shortest way, because the hard way is going to lead you the fastest to the result that you want. The right way is usually always the hard way, and this is the quickest way that's going to lead you to results, okay? The easy way is not going to lead you anywhere. That's the thing, you know, that's the problem. So the easy way is bullshit way. And my mission here is to give you people the easiest way, if you understand, so that you don't lose years, that you don't experiment like I did, and it's going to work the fastest for you. So yes, I mean, as I said, my goal is to give you the fastest way how to reach your own results. That's really how I see it. But is there some easy magical way that you can build muscle without blood, sweat, hard work? That you can lose fat without, you know, doing the cardio, doing the diet, being fully disciplined? No. Whoever tells you that, what kind of influencer, YouTuber tells you that, is going to bullshit you, throw you shit, they're lying. But then again, as I said, there are quickest way how to do this in the right way, that you will get the result that you want without losing years and years or months and months and fucking up your health. And that's why I'm here. Jersey, you said hello to you too. You said I just finished week 3 of a 12-week, to see this, mesocycle you're doing. You've lost 8 pounds so far. You're advised to eat more, around 2,500 calories. Has paid off. Now eating 700 calories more and I feel better. Told you so. This is really nice to hear. Really appreciate it, brother. Really appreciate that you achieved that. And that's exactly my point. If you go below 2,500 roughly calories that I explained in that episode, you know, you're just going to feel like shit. You're going to go into the catabolism mode. You're not going to achieve anything. And you're, as I said, you know, you're just going to catabolize. You won't be able to function properly and to train properly. And what's the goal then? In decreased calories. And with 2,500, if you're doing the gym at least 4 times per week, with some HIIT cardio afterwards, you're going to lose half kilo to 1 kilo, or 1 pound to 2 pounds per week. And that's a fantastic progress. I'm speaking about fat. You know, if you lose more than 2 pounds of fat per week, it's not fat, it's also muscle. Therefore, the 2,500 calories, I think it's a proper balance, because you have enough carbs and fats there, you know, to manipulate them during the day, to have a decent workout, pump in the gym, and mental focus for the rest of your day. You know, if you're feeling like zombified piece of shit, you know, during the whole day, then what's the point of everything, you know? So I'm really glad that this system works for you, and it pretty much also works for me, and it is definitely going to work for everyone else. This is why I explained it in the episode. Really happy that you saw it, and continue the great work. Jersey also said, also let you know my definition and size is coming back slowly. Great to hear that, and I'm getting new gains as well. Fantastic. Really proud of you, brother. Staying consistent has been key. Really nice to hear that. Yes, consistency is the key over here. Yes, it's wanted to make again another episode about that, but I think it would be really boring, so I'm going to tell you this in short lines. Consistency is the key. No matter if you want to lose fat, if you want to put muscle, without consistency it is impossible. But if you pound per pound fat loss, new muscle mass, in a couple of months is going to be a huge amount. Always stay consistent, but as I said, I'm really happy and seeing that you are applying the methods that I'm teaching and showing. And this way you're also going to progress, because just being constant is not enough. Of course, it's the key to success. I would say it's 50%. But applying the knowledge, looking what works on you, looking what doesn't. Of course, paying attention to the progress, as you are obviously, is another key to success. And as I said, I'm really happy that you are progressing. Joseph O'Reilly, the question is, what's your thoughts on an I during TRT? Did you ever suffer from anxiety on pads? How did you manage hermaphroditism, etc.? Thanks, bro. Really good, great question, and I really have to be careful what kind of answer am I going to give you here, because it's not allowed that I give any kind of opinions about those serious stuff. So I'm going to give you an answer what worked for me or not. Brutally honest. So first of all, right now I am on TRT. Cannot give you the dosages. I'm fully transparent, but I don't want that some kid sees this and they say, look, Boris is taking this, I'm going to take this as well. Now when I'm on TRT, I don't have any anxiety issues and I don't have any problems with anything. Neither did I ever had those kind of serious issues with an anxiety, but I can tell you when I was taking Trembolone acetate, when I was competing, it was really horrible. Anxiety was really going up to the roof, but because my central nervous system was fried, I was really fucked up. Okay, I wasn't able to sleep from the Trembolone. I was dieting really hard. I was taking a lot of it, and I can say then I had an anxiety issues, because it's not really an anxiety, but I wasn't to sleep properly from the Trembolone and everything else that I was taking on the top. I was taking a lot of testosterone, masterone on the top of that, growth hormone, Winstrol, Anadrol, and then the central nervous system was fried. I was fucked, and it wasn't a good period of my life. This is why I decided not to compete anymore. But back then I got bad information that Primobolan doesn't work, that it's shit. Later on, when I was almost in my 40s, I realized personally I'm not recommending this. This is a great steroids, maybe a wrong word. I mean, if somebody wants to compete and decided to take them, my reason was to compete. Primobolan is the safest option from everything out there. But also, how was I managed, to do the how did you say the hermaphrodites and everything? I went. I have a friend who works in the hospital, okay, so I did my blood work at least twice a year. Luckily, I didn't have problems with that, but I'm going to give you a brutally honest, opinion. First of all, competitive bodybuilding is not a healthy sport. Whoever tells you that is lying to you. There is no competitive bodybuilder who is fully healthy, and there is no serious competitive bodybuilder or anyone who took steroids who didn't had side effects, more or less. There isn't any. So, if you decided to take TRT, strong recommendation and strong suggestion is that you do your blood work, that you check your heart and everything at least every 6 months, that you find a good doctor who is going to be honest with you. If there is anything bad, if you start having any kind of bad side effects from it, stop it. That's the honest opinion. I was taking steroids since my late teenage days, because I started with 17, to go to the gym, didn't start steroids immediately, but I was on and off, and my hormonal system now at 41 is never going to get those natural levels, no matter what. So I have to stay on TRT, and this is what is fine with me, and this is what I decided that I will do till the rest of my life, or HRT. But if you, as I said, decide to do something like that, always do it with the doctor. Hopefully this was good answer for your question. And also for an anxiety, I would recommend a good serotonin booster that is natural, that's called saffron. Saffron is a great supplement. You can order it online. It helps with balancing, the serotonin and keeping this calm, nice mood, as well as L-theanine. It's also a fantastic supplement to calm you down, But again, if you're taking shitload of caffeine and TRT, not saying that you are, but if somebody is taking TRT, that's not a TRT, that's a mediocre cycle and has anxiety issues, then the honest opinion from my side is get off that. Jersey, you said your urologist checks your blood every 3 months. You have been on TRT for 12 years. Only real concern is if the blood gets thick. Other than that, it's been great. Yes, that's good. Always check it with the doctor. Again, if the blood gets thick, there are medicines for that are not really medicines, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not allowed to tell you that. Check with a professional, check with doctors, okay? If, again, the blood is getting too thick, fuck the TRT, stay natural. That's the honest opinion. Joseph, really glad that you like it, glad that you appreciate. I appreciate your question a lot. It was also a great question. People, I'm coming in 30 seconds. I just have to go to the special place. 30 seconds. Okay, we are back. Play no games, great videos. Thank you, appreciate, brother. The new, more good stuff is coming up. I'm really glad that I can post high quality information, and that's what I'm planning to do all the way till the end. also want to now when because it is really a good question that for Joseph O'Reilly, hopefully I said your name good, please don't mind if I fucked it up. The supplements that really help with that, that I can guarantee that work. Unless somebody is on serious medication, then they don't work, is rhodiola rosea. This is a really good stress calmer. I recommend early in the morning. 1.5 gram, and this is a game changer. Really works. L-theanine, 200 milligrams in the morning. Saffron, 100 milligrams also in the morning. This really calms the anxiety, lifts the natural energy without caffeine, and lifts the serotonin and has this anti-caffeine effect. But then again, I want really to say, if somebody is taking serious stuff, again, I'm not a doctor, like antidepressants or benzodiazepines or hypnotics, like Ambien, Xanax, whatsoever, Prozac, then this stuff is not going to work. If somebody is not taking that, these supplements that I mentioned are game changer, especially rhodiola rosea. These days people are, mentioning ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, personally, I don't like this a lot. I never felt anything. I would recommend, also wanted to make an episode about this. Rhodiola rosea comparing to the ashwagandha, because ashwagandha is a huge hype now. Rhodiola rosea comparing to the ashwagandha is like comparing a Ferrari next to the bicycle. And this is a huge amount of energy that you're going to get, and completely reduces the cortisol, the stress, the anxiety, etc., etc. But then again, as always, you always have to find, I don't think that TRT is affecting the anxiety. Some other things are. You have to find them, is it, please don't get me wrong, but is it a partner? Is it a boss? Are they the colleagues? A lifestyle, something else? And I would recommend that you cut that as much as possible, if not completely. Joseph O'Reilly, the question is, I'm currently looking for doing the IBB Academy personal trainer course online. Would you recommend their courses, and did they help you when getting clients, etc.? Thanks for the supplements advice. I have a lot of IBB certificates that are in Serbian, and the ones that are in English I put it online. Honestly, since I'm new on YouTube, I put them when people come to my channel, that they see that I have some kind of background that is with the certificate, that because I know a lot, okay, since I'm 25 in this sport. I'm competing since I was junior, but this is not written on my head, on my forehead, okay? And when people see that you have something, it's a little bit of credibility, But did this really help me a lot, this is like a big plus, okay? When people say, okay, this guy has some kind of knowledge and background, he's worth of, let's listen to him, let's hear what he has to say. And then when they see that you competed, that you were on stage, that you look somehow, I'm speaking about my case, then they give even more credibility. But when it comes to finding clients, it's mostly what you really know during your many years of experience with yourself as clients that I, for example, personally have. This is not supposed to be about me. Of course, it's about you. But just online course, doesn't matter what kind of course, if you don't have practical background, is not going to help you with the clients unless you're a really good talker and people would like to hang out with you. But then, you can train anyone, you don't need a course. Do you understand? So, course is a big plus, but what you really know and the experience that you really are supposed to have, you're not getting from the course only, you know. Yes, it's a good course, but I mean, all the knowledge in the world, I see it like this, you know, 1 kilogram of theory is way less than 1 gram of praxis of the practical knowledge that you know. I mean, would you hire somebody honestly who only has online course, was never competing, looks like nothing, didn't achieve anything, but he has shitload of certificates? Do you understand? That's your answer. So I mean, I think as a synergy of everything, it's a good way to have, you know, props for that, go get it. But is this going to help you by itself only? Look, I have this and now people will come like flies on the honey. Honestly, no. Jersey, urologist you said urologist suggested to donate blood for to help. Donating blood is a fantastic thing, not only morality wise and empathy wise, of course, but you know, donating blood is a great thing. This is like cleaning an oil on the car. So it's a fantastic thing. Again, I'm not a doctor, but you said that your doctor suggested that, and if I was you, I say go for it. Props to that. It's a great it's a great advice. Spark. The question is, which is better, upper day, 3 times a week, every other day, with a leg day, or push pull legs uh, 2 times per day, 2 times per week. Sorry. Times a week, every other day. Upper day 3 times a week, every other day, one leg day, or push pull legs 2 times a week. You know, I don't want to give you a bullshit answer. I'm imagining this in my head. I would say, and this is not how I train, but if I was you, I would say push pull leg 2 times per week, okay? Because this is like a perfect blend. Push pull legs is a sweet spot. I said for performance, for muscle building, for strength building. You know, I would do the second choice, definitely. You know, that way you will, you know, have more time to recover, way less muscle overlap. And yeah, this is what I would do. You know, the only problem with the question is that I don't know you, I don't know how you look, I don't know what's your goal. So you know, these are all important factors. But from the question that you made, you know, I would I would say the second option for sure. Push pull legs twice a week. Ahmed Jamil. Hey man, I'm a big fan of your content. I'm a video editor and I wanted to ask you if you need editing service. I would like to work with you as I'm a fan. I worked with Brandon William, who have around 2 million subscribers. Well, you know, thank you a lot, but this honestly doesn't mean anything here on the chat page. If you have something serious that you would like to offer me, my email is in my profile description. Okay, write me there, send me your work, because I mean, this kind of offer, nothing personally, man, is no offer. You know, this is like, if I would say, you know, I don't know what to say, you know, so it doesn't sound improper, but If I would tell you, look, outside of my flat I have parked Bentley or Bugatti, and in my bank account I have $2 million, I swear let the ceiling fell off on my head if I'm not lying to you. And would you trust me, So I'm not saying that you're not, but if you're really serious editor, this is not, I think, the serious way how to propose the work. That's your honest question, with no disrespect, of course. And I have a question for everybody. Is there some topic that you would maybe like me to make a video about? Something that you would like to see, something that you would like to hear in details that you never heard anywhere else. Spark, yes, true indeed. Spark, I'm originally from Serbia, but right now I live in Vienna, Austria. Ahmed Jamil, you said my assistant have sent an email already, but I want to saw you live, so I wanted to check out. I didn't saw that email. If it is sent today, I will give it a look, and then I will answer, of course. If the email is not as usual email that says I'm a super SEO expert editor, blah 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 blah, without any kind of proof, those emails, without me disrespecting anyone, I get every day, and I'm not replying to them, because as I explained, this means absolutely nothing. Would I want to hire an editor in the near future? I would, for sure. This will definitely improve my content. I'm a full stack Java developer, mostly based on front end, also from my other profession. I studied for that, but I don't have any special skills in editing, neither am I planning to improve that. That was not something that I wanted, but I think better editing will be also better for my viewers, of course. But there has to be some proof for offering something like that. Not only, hey, now I have that, hire me. This means nothing. Joseph O'Reilly. The question is, when you were competing, did you find it hard to balance your time with family and girlfriend, as it can be all consuming when competing? Do you find it easier now and have more time for these things? It's a really good and hard question to be answered. Honestly, I'm going to give you an honest answer. When I was competing, it was hard to find time for girlfriend and family, for sure, but I always managed to find, I was never allowing my also personal life to suffer. So I was not this stubborn, narcissistic, hard-headed person that was only occupied about himself. To be brutally honest with you, since I developed moral compass and empathy, I'm not narcissistic. I even got myself tested with the proper therapist. I always liked bodybuilding, okay, since I was a young kid, because I grew up watching He-Man and Teenage Mutant Turtles and Superman, and back then Schwarzenegger was at his prime, Stallone, Dolph Lundgren. So for me, this was how man was supposed to look, and to be strong as well, right? And then I started finally bodybuilding with 17, But honestly, I never really wanted to compete. So somehow, when I started, I got kind of a brainwashed a little bit that if you look good, you have to compete. And I thought that this is going to bring me more clients and more credibility if I compete. And then finally, in 2017, I realized that, fuck, I never actually liked competing. I liked bodybuilding, and to do this for the rest of my life, and I am going to do this, and to prepare and to be in shape and to train, to do diet and cardio and everything. But jumping on the stage was never my thing. So when I was competing, to get back to your question, it was hard, but I always had nice girlfriends who liked that, who liked somebody who is a bodybuilder and who liked that kind of lifestyle, and they were mostly, living that lifestyle with me. They were eating properly and training, and for me it was not hard to maintain that with them. I was not fully obsessed with myself. But then again, when I was competing, when I was taking all the stuff that you're supposed to take and inject when you're competing, that was the hard part. And when I was really doing these brutally hardcore diets with zero carbs that I'm not recommending to anyone, then my private life was suffering because I was suffering. I didn't felt happy, didn't felt fulfilled, and took me a lot of years to realize why the fuck am I even doing this, and just hazarding myself for the €5 or $5 trophy that's not going to bring me any fame. I mean, nobody gives a fuck about that. So right now, when I'm not competing and not taking all that stupid stuff inside me, yes, my private life and my mental health, let's put it that way, is way, way, way better. Spark, do I know about arm wrestling? I do, but I don't do arm wrestling because I think this is an amazing recipe to get your arm fucked up and to get injured and not to be able to do bodybuilding after. I mean, to go to the gym, especially if you want to show if you want to show off and you didn't do a proper warm up with your arm, because I have a big arm and a lot of muscles on my arm, but I'm going to be brutally honest to you, some much smaller guy who is skinny, who is an arm wrestler, who has a proper technique, would probably most likely for sure destroy me. So I don't get into those kind of challenges because honestly I know that I would lose. So I don't do that kind of stupid move, but I like to watch that. I really liked the movie. I think it was Over the Top. Correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody knows, with Stallone, when he's arm wrestling and how he's doing the thing with the thumb, to do the final, match, and that was one of the really great movies that I also watched with my father when I was young, and it left a lot of, how can I say, a proper emotional mark on me. And yeah, but don't do arm wrestling if you're going to the gym, especially if you didn't warm up arm properly. If anybody wants to challenge you, just tell him, okay, you're better, I don't want to do that. Better than going to the hospital and you have to get your arm fully repaired with the surgery. Virgo the Butch, you said I would like to see a future video doing a deep dive on progressive overload techniques. It's a good advice. Definitely is going to be scheduled for the future if a lot of people show interest. But progressive overload is you have to increase the weight in short terms, pretty much every session if you can, or reps, or to do those reps slower and with better focus. Those three things are extremely important no matter what you're doing. And even if you're getting improved by 0.1% every workout, it is a good workout. So I would say the key to success of building muscle is consistency, This is extremely important, as well as progressive overload. Without progressive overload, you're going to achieve nothing. Ahmed Jamil, you said actually I can send links at the first email, as will mark me as spam. We'll look my inbox afterward. Thank you for the offer. Spark, you said, wow, where did you learn full stack? When when I was younger, I was studying that, but back then, it's called a facultet, I think, I don't know, is it called the same in English, so it's a college, right? But back then, it wasn't as properly developed, so, I had a huge break, because I was living as a had this professional sportsman lifestyle since I came to Austria, and then I decided to improve my knowledge as a programmer, and then how can I say, I finished the full course again, with the Odin project online. If you heard about that one, I think it's really great. It takes you a couple of months to finish it properly, but they're slowly but surely teaching you everything. Of course, if you like that, if you have passion, how not to use, for example, ChatGPT, that can fuck up your programming skills completely if you're not into that. I mean, as I said, now we're going from topic to topic. I mean, I can really be a great helper, but it can also make you a proper invalid, and dumbify you, if you do something with it later that you're not able to do manually. But the proper answer is I refreshed my knowledge. I mean, I'm always doing here and there a little bit of programming, but with Odin project online, if you heard about that, if you're into this kind of matter. The Hawaiian Hema. When will you be doing your United States tour? Hopefully in the near future. I would definitely like to come to the States again. Who knows what will the future brings? Everything is possible, I think. Where there is a will, there is a way. Spark, you said that you're a hybrid athlete, that you're doing gym and arm wrestling. Sounds really nice. I don't know, are you training arm wrestling properly? Hopefully you are. And yeah, any kind of hybrid training is a good choice. I'm fully into finding a proper balance. As I said, I'm a bodybuilder, but I prefer if somebody would be mixing bodybuilder with, any kind of athletic kind of type of training, arm wrestling, why not? Would definitely like to watch a match somewhere if you have something like that online. Not to compete, but to watch. Linus Wilson, hello to you too. Spark, you said you like programming. How many professions I know? Only programming and personal trainer. Well, bodybuilding was always my passion, lifestyle. So as you probably know, I'm doing this in 17, but I also trained volleyball 10 years approximately before I started doing bodybuilding. By profession, I'm also graphic designer, something like that would be called in English, and I would say an IT programmer. So those are my three main things that I'm good at, but gym and bodybuilding is my passion, and this is where I can put my the most and best energy, and that I can deliver to you guys. This is why I decided doing this. I was thinking before I started my channel in March this year, would I be doing a channel about software and hardware and something like that, or bodybuilding, and then I decided bodybuilding. I was thinking maybe I should do a review of new graphic cards or something like that, because I'm a huge fan of hardware, the processors and graphic cards and main boards, etc., etc. But I decided to do bodybuilding. Hopefully it was not a bad choice. Linus Wilson. The question is, do you bulk and cut or lean bulk? What is an ideal bulking calorie surplus? Great and amazing question. Amazing question, because I did a lot of mistakes in my career and life, and I fucked up this a lot. This is an amazing question. First of all, when I started, back then, the philosophy is, when you're in the bodybuilder should be in the off season, right? Everybody who wants to put decent amount of mass has to go off season. Bulk, eat a lot, of course, eat enough protein, but you have to eat as much as possible, everything possible, put as much size, stretch that muscle fascia, which is bullshit, by the way. The whole concept is bullshit. Put 20, 30 kilograms to 60, 70 pounds more in the off season. It almost look like a sumo bulk, if you know what that is. And then you have to cut that. And then, when you have to cut that, you pretty much have to cut your balls off until you get ripped. Shitload of cardio, shitload of supplements for fat burning. You're dying when you're dieting, because and when you lose all of that, you lose shitload of muscles. It doesn't look good at the end. The muscles look tired, the body looks tired, you look exhausted. It's not good for the blood, it's not good for the heart. So putting bulking up is old-fashioned bullshit. That was really popular when I started. So the answer for your question is clean bulk. There is no bulk. There is no off-season. What off-season? Do you understand? And the question, how many calories, this is what I would recommend. I mean, if you're doing a cut phase, you have to do reverse dieting. That means you have to put every week 50 grams of good carbs more until you find the sweet spot when you are putting slow amount of size without fucking up your condition. So do you understand? There is no proper number that I can give you now. Okay, take this amount of calories. You have to find, what is the proper way that you are putting size, of course, with progressive overload, and still having visible six-pack. You don't have to have veins and cuts all over, but if your stomach is not with six-pack, you're already too fat, and you are taking much more calories than you need. That's the truth. So always clean bulk, progressive overload, and you have to realize that later on, doesn't matter if you're natural or enhanced, I don't know that, but you cannot put more than 1, 2, 3 kilograms or up to 5 pounds of pure muscle per year. We're speaking pure muscle per year. Whoever tells you is bullshitting you. And, I'm on pads. Now I'm on TRT, but even if I go on full cycle, of course I will do my how can I say, muscle memory comeback. But about that, it's impossible also for me to put more than 2-3 kilograms of muscle mass with all of that shit, with everything on point nutrition wise per year. Do you understand? So clean bulk, progressive overload, and you have to realize that it comes slowly. If you're putting fat already on your stomach, if you look like a pig, not a bodybuilder, taking too much. Your eyes and objectivity, you have to be objective towards yourself, and the mirror is your parameter. They never lie. Spark, the question is, do I speak more languages, Serbian, English and more? Yes, since I live in Vienna, Austria, I speak, of course, German as well, because I live here. People here usually don't speak English. Linus Wilson, the question is, do you think we should avoid fat? Is there a max grams of fat you would consume? You know, I would avoid getting fat, but definitely not consuming fat. Consuming fat is fantastic thing. This is something that I avoided when I was young. I was afraid of eating fat. Fat is fantastic thing, you know, for hormonal balance, and I think it gives much better and harder look on the muscles. I would go up to 100 of grams of fat daily, but good fats, you know, omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, walnuts, maybe chashus, how do you say this in English? Some peanuts, maybe here and there, but avoid peanuts. Olive oil, you know, walnut oil. It's a fantastic thing, so definitely take fats. Don't avoid carbs. Don't avoid fats. I would say take carbs around the training. This is when you really need them. Mostly during the day, increase the fats, but good fats. Spark, you said I'm learning IR in Uni, probably okay, and German language also. I'm studying programming too, but I want to be a trainer in Germany. Maybe that's a good choice to good salary. Well, first, you know, props for what you are doing, but you know, if you're doing this just to be a coach, for the salary, then don't do it. Do whatever you want in life. Of course, that's going to bring you money. It's really important. I think it's really important in life, but don't do it only for the money. If you understand, don't choose profession because you calculated on the calculator that this is going to bring you proper amount of money, because sooner or later you're going to have a burnout, and then you know, you will say, why the fuck did I choose this in the first place? This is not something that I like. This is not something that I want. This is going to affect, you know, your presentation, and you're not going to gain as much money as you planned. You know, you do what you want. Find the passion that you like doing, and then think how to make the most money out of it, not reversed. You said that you like gym and workout from 14 years. It's really nice. That's good to hear. If you like it, then yeah, this would be a good choice, as I said. But not okay. This is going to bring me a lot of money. But you know, I started going to the gym 2 weeks ago, and then I recalculated my whole future. You know, being coach, it's not going to function that way. Linus Wilson, why did you choose the certification program you chose over the other certifications? First of all, it's a good question, because the IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness, I think this is the proper name, is the only federation, IFBB, that I like and that I trust. This is the Mr. Olympia Federation, right? This is why I chose theirs. Second, you know, we were having our exams at the proper college. You know, this was not some bullshit mumbo jumbo online course that has no value. It was really hard, actually, believe it or not. It was much harder than I thought it will be. I learned a lot of good things that I didn't even know back then. This is why I chose, and I saw that a lot of my colleagues who were also competitive bodybuilders were going there. You know, this is again, and I honestly think that this certificate has a good value. Of course, if you're delivering the experience also from the other side, if of course you have the looks, and if you competed, and if you have this, it's, I think, a great combo. But I think any certificate without the proper, how can I say, proof what you know, has zero value. Spark, what degree did I learn in uni? It was called Technic Informatic, informatic like IT. Linus Wilson, do I have advice for posing in men's physique? Wait, I have to quickly see this online. I always, for is men's physique the one with Bermudas or not? I don't want to give you a... Yes, this is the one, yes. Do I have any advice? Well, first of all, I want to say that I have a huge respect for everyone who is in that division, and I know that guys in that division have, in most of the cases, really properly developed legs. But to be quite honest, I don't understand this division. I honestly think that they're really nice and beautiful male bodies there, that I personally know, but I personally, don't understand that division that has, those, how do you call them, Bermudas or whatsoever, that are covering a lot, 1/3 of the legs, and usually I said those guys have good legs, probably you if you're competing there. But again, with no disrespect, I wouldn't know how to give a proper advice about how to pose in that category because I'm a bodybuilder, but the proper advice would be find somebody who is in that category, who is teaching posing and who is a great poser. That's my honest opinion. Don't ask somebody who doesn't know how to pose in that category, as I, for example, personally wouldn't know how to show you that properly since I never posed in that category. And you also have to find somebody who will really know how to show you how to present your physique as best as you can, because every physique is different, But as I said, somebody who really is a poser, who was a good competitor, didn't have to win trophies, but knows how to show that stuff properly. The existential vegan. You said that the question is, do I remember you saying the muscle need a full 5 days to recap? Seems right. Yes. Yes, I said because you need 3 days to recover properly. So when you go to the gym, you're doing these micro injuries, okay? You're in the catabolism state, okay? And when you go to the gym, after that, the body needs time to recover. It takes 3 days to get on the starting point. And then comes the super compensation, that is another 2 days, when you're actually putting new tissue. This is why it's very important that you don't do muscle overlap as less as possible. Completely possible is completely without muscle overlap is impossible. Whoever tells you that is lying, but this is why 5 days is needed for the body to put new tissue on. That's the best way how to put the most muscle mass possible. Yes, you remembered it correctly. Spark, you said I was thinking about getting the ESA certificate. What can you say about that? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what kind of certificate that is. I don't want to Google that now quickly and give you a bullshit answer. I don't know. Linus Wilson, you said Bermudas. And then you ask, how do you build a better V taper probably, after your waist cannot get smaller? It's a good question. I'm going to give you a proper answer. I mean, don't want to discourage you if you're competing in that category, but that category is mostly, you really have to have good genetics. I don't know who you are, didn't show you, maybe you do, but the waist is supposed to be really, really small in that category. If the waist is not small enough, I would personally suggest that you change the category, that you start putting size and going into the bodybuilding category. My personal advice, Another proper advice is how to get better taper is to put more size on the shoulders, but then again too much shoulders that is going to overpower the rest of the body. If the waist is not small enough, it's going to look like shit. You know, so this is like, you do understand, again, without disrespecting, without trying to put you down, don't know how you look, but in that category, men's physique, really the proportions have to be on point. You know, if the waist is too big, I would say it's not a good category for you. Again, put more muscles on the shoulders, on the back, everywhere else while maintaining the small waist. But I'm not going to say I'm not sure will that help, but I will say differently. I'm sure that this is not the solution for your problem. The existential vegan, you said that's what I'm doing, seems to be going well. Thank you. I really appreciate, brother. I'm really happy that you're doing that. And of course, it has to bring results because this is a pure math. One of the systems that I learned from Dorian Yates, who applied that by learning from Mike Menser. I like a lot of Mike Menser's teachings, not everything, because he goes from one way to another, he goes to extreme. He said after every workout you need 3 days without workout to fully recover. You know, that was like from one end to another, but there were some, you know, scientific proofs that I fully agree with him and that I'm telling you people. Virgo the Butch, the question is, so if it takes 5 days to add new tissue, does that mean trying to work a muscle group only once every 5 days is the best? Yes. If again, don't want to jump in my own mount, because I was also suggesting pull push dex is a good system. Every day full body 3 times a week is also good if somebody is beginner or if his goal is not hypertrophy, okay? But if your goal is to put the most muscle mass possible that you can, okay, to grow as much as you can, to put this hard, big, thick muscle, then 5 days rest is optimal, yes. People, I'm bringing this session to an end. Thanks, I want to appreciate and to thank you to everybody who was being here on this live. Have to go. Duty is calling. We are going to continue next week at the same time. Love you all. I wish you all the best. Train hard, pump good, stay strong, healthy and smart. Bye.